In the heart of a sun-drenched valley lay the kingdom of Eldoria, a land shimmering with peace and prosperity. Its people were happy, and their fields were always green. Ruling over this blessed realm was a king and queen whose greatest treasure was not their crown, nor their castle, but their daughter, Princess Aurelia. She wasn't just known for her beauty, with hair like spun gold and eyes the color of the summer sky. No, Aurelia was beloved for her heart. It was a heart so full of kindness that flowers seemed to bloom brighter in her presence, and even the shyest forest creatures would eat from her hand. She spent her days not in lavish halls, but in the villages and fields, listening to the stories of her people, helping an elderly farmer mend his fence, or sharing her lunch with children. To the people of Eldoria, Aurelia wasn't just a princess. She was a ray of sunshine, the living embodiment of their kingdom's warmth and goodness. But as the seasons turned and a chill entered the autumn air, a strange shadow fell over Eldoria. It began subtly with a few villagers in a remote hamlet. They didn't fall ill with a fever or a cough. Instead, they simply fell into a deep, unbreakable sleep. Their breath was steady, their faces peaceful, but no sound, no touch, no plea could wake them. At first, the royal physicians were baffled. Then the affliction began to spread. Like a silent, creeping mist, the magical slumber moved from house to house, village to village. Soon, the once bustling markets grew quiet. The laughter of children faded from the streets, and even the queen, after tending to the sick, succumbed to the enchanted rest. The kingdom was plunged into a silent twilight, a plague of sleep that no medicine could cure. Panic and despair began to grip the hearts of those still awake. As her father, the king, stood weary and burdened by the growing silence, Aurelia's heart ached with a fierce resolve. She could not stand by while her people, her mother, her entire world faded into this dreamless abyss. She spent days and nights in the royal library, poring over ancient scrolls and forgotten lore. There, in a dusty tome bound in moss-green leather, she found it. A legend of the sun petal, a mythical flower said to bloom only once a century atop the highest peak in the treacherous Whispering Woods. The text claimed its golden petals held the pure light of the dawn, a power potent enough to break any curse and dispel the darkest of magics. While the king's advisors warned of the dangers of the beasts and shadowy paths, Aurelia's mind was made up. This was her quest. She would venture into the Whispering Woods and find the sun petal to save them all. Dressed not in silks, but in practical traveling clothes, Aurelia entered the daunting expanse of the Whispering Woods. The trees here were ancient and gnarled, their branches twisting together to block out the sun, and the air was filled with a constant, eerie murmur, as if the leaves themselves were sharing secrets. It wasn't long before she faced her first challenge. She heard a pained whimpering and followed the sound to a clearing, where she found a giant badger, the size of a pony, with its paw caught in a cruel iron trap. Its eyes were filled with fear and fury. Instead of drawing the dagger she carried for protection, Aurelia spoke to the creature in a soft, soothing voice. She slowly approached, showing her empty hands, her heart radiating nothing but compassion. Understanding her intent, the badger stilled. With careful effort, Aurelia managed to pry open the rusty jaws of the trap, freeing the mighty animal. The grateful badger bowed its head and then bounded away, disappearing into the undergrowth. Continuing deeper into the woods, the whispering grew louder and the path more confusing. She came upon a small spring, but its water was dark and murky, and the air around it felt heavy and sad. Tiny, winged sprites with shimmering wings drooped on the wilted flowers nearby, their light all but extinguished. They explained that a creeping blight had poisoned their home, the very source of their life. Aurelia, remembering a lesson from the royal herbalist, searched the woods for specific mosses and purifying herbs. She carefully ground them together and stirred them into the spring. Slowly, miraculously, the water began to clear. The darkness receded, and the spring once again flowed with crystal clear water. The sprites, revived and joyful, danced around her head, their light a beacon of gratitude, and they gifted her a single, glowing orb to light her way through the darkest parts of the forest. Her final and most formidable challenge came as she neared the mountain's peak. A fearsome griffin with the body of a lion and the head and wings of an eagle blocked her path. It was a magnificent but lonely creature, exiled to this peak for its intimidating appearance. It roared a warning, its sharp talons digging into the rock. But Aurelia, looking past the fearsome exterior, saw not a monster, but a profound sadness in its intelligent eyes. She didn't raise a weapon. Instead, she sat down, a safe distance away, and began to sing a gentle lullaby, a song her mother used to sing to her. The griffin, which had only ever known fear and aggression from others, grew quiet. It tilted its great head, listening. She then shared her remaining food, leaving it on a rock for the creature. Over several hours, her persistent, gentle presence broke through its defenses. The griffin, seeing her kindness, finally lowered its head and allowed her to pass, even nudging her forward with its beak as a sign of friendship. At the very summit of the mountain, in a clearing bathed in an ethereal glow, she found it. The sun petal. It was more beautiful than any legend could describe, its petals shimmering with the captured light of 1,000 sunrises. As Aurelia reached for it, a chilling voice echoed through the clearing. Such a foolish, naive little princess. From the shadows emerged a sorcerer, his face gaunt and his eyes burning with resentment. He confessed it was he who had created the plague, a curse born from years of bitterness and envy for Eldoria's happiness, a kingdom that had long ago shunned him for his dark ambitions. He raised his staff, preparing to strike her down and claim the flower's power for himself. He sneered, "Your kindness is a weakness. It cannot save you here." But just as the sorcerer unleashed a bolt of dark energy, a massive shape burst from the trees, roaring in defiance. It was the giant badger, which had secretly followed Aurelia, protecting her from the shadows. It deflected the attack, standing guard before the princess. Then, the air filled with a blinding, shimmering light as the sprites, a whole swarm of them, swirled around the sorcerer, their collective glow weakening his dark magic. From the sky above, the griffin descended with a powerful cry, its mighty wings creating a gust of wind that knocked the sorcerer off his feet, his staff clattering to the ground. Aurelia seized her chance. She plucked the sun petal, but instead of fleeing, she walked towards the defeated sorcerer. She saw the deep-seated pain that fueled his hatred. Holding the glowing flower, she touched it not to his weapon, but gently to his chest, right over his heart. An incredible wave of pure, warm light erupted from the sun petal. It didn't destroy the sorcerer. It washed over him, cleansing the years of bitterness and rage. The darkness in his eyes faded, replaced by confusion, and then, for the first time in years, by a glimmer of remorse. The light of the flower then pulsed outwards, a golden wave that swept down the mountain, across the whispering woods, and over the sleeping kingdom of Eldoria. In the castle and in the villages, people began to stir. They awoke as if from a long, dreamless night, stretching and blinking in the sudden light. The queen's eyes fluttered open, her first word being her daughter's name. Aurelia returned not just as a princess, but as a hero. The griffin flew her back to the castle gates, where she was met with a joyous celebration. The former sorcerer, his heart now free from its prison of hate, pledged to use his knowledge of magic to help rebuild and protect the kingdom. Aurelia, standing before her adoring people, had proven that true power isn't found in a crown or a spell of darkness. The greatest magic of all, the magic that could heal a kingdom, mend a broken heart, and turn enemies into friends, was, and always would be, the simple, unwavering strength of kindness.